Hi everybody. I wanted to record a video today around comfort eating because it's something that's come up quite a few times with different clients, and I thought it would be really helpful just to go into a bit more detail about it, some practical tips on how to deal with it. So let's get started. You know those moments when you feel stressed, tired, or you're feeling a bit flat and food feels like the answer? We're going to dig into why this happens, what it's costing you, and most importantly, how to build healthier coping tools so that you can feel a bit more in control again. Comfort eating isn't often about hunger, it's about emotions. And when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, life is busy, it's hectic. You've got the kids to think about, you've got work, you've got a family, household to run, 9 million WhatsApp groups. And on top of that, hormones are shifting. Estrogen is often lower or going through that roller coaster of going up and down a lot more. And this can make you feel quite stressed, make you feel more tired, sometimes a bit more irritable than you might normally be. And what happens in those instances is that your brain remembers that food can give you that quick dopamine hit, that shot of endorphins, and that chocolate or the crisps, the cheese, the glass of wine, it really lights up that reward center in your brain. And for a few minutes, you can feel a bit more distracted, you feel soothed, comforted, and it hits that reward that you're looking for. But let's be honest, sometimes food, it's the only thing perhaps in your day where you're like, that was just for me, because you spend so much of your day giving to everyone else. Now, the truth is that comfort eating, it works in that moment and it does what you need it to do. It provides a soothing feeling, but afterwards, you're often left feeling perhaps a bit guilty, disappointed in yourself, a bit frustrated, and that feeling of, why have I done that? And if you're on a weight loss journey, those little moments, the snacks at 3 p.m. or the late night grabbing a treat, can quietly add up. And it's often this that's slowing down your progress way more than perhaps your main meals, which is where often people will be, oh, I've eaten too much at dinner time. It's not often about the roast dinner on a Sunday or the takeaway on a Friday. It's often more around the mindless snacking or the emotional eating in between those meals. That's often what's taking you perhaps out of your calorie deficit. So I wanted to give you an example with a client that I used to work with called Sarah. She used to often tell me that she lacked willpower, she lacked discipline, because every night after she finally got the kids to bed, she closed the bedroom door and she'd open some chocolate buttons and she'd just keep eating them until they were gone. She almost got to the end of the packet and was shocked to realise that she'd eaten just a whole share bag without even appreciating it or even noticing what she was doing. It was just done completely on autopilot. But when we unpacked it, it actually was never about willpower. She was just really exhausted at that point in the day. She hadn't felt like she'd had a single moment to herself. And the chocolate in that time, that wasn't just about food or trying to feel hunger. That was her way of saying, okay, this is something for me. This is a little bit of my part of the day. And it provided that comfort that she was looking for at the end of the day. And once she realized that, we then were able to work on finding other ways to create that me time. And sometimes it was earlier in the day going, actually, instead of sitting at my desk and doing more work whilst I eat lunch, do you know what? I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk and then going to sit outside, have my lunch, actually get some chill time in my day. And that provided some comfort. And then other times it was, do you know, at this point in the evening, I'm just looking for some connection, and she'd call her sister. Other times it was, actually, do you know, I'm just going to make a cup of tea. I'm going to get a book out instead of mindlessly scrolling on Instagram again. And over time, we created a really nice menu of other comfort tools that weren't just food. to give you some practical strategies about what you can do instead that's not always grabbing food, these are a few that you can think about instigating today. The first tip is to pause and check in. So before you grab the snack, before you grab the extra glass of wine, just take a breath and ask yourself, am I hungry in this moment? Is this really what I'm looking for, or do I need something else? Because in this moment, you allow yourself to become aware of what's going on. Often we work on autopilot, and actually what we want to do is bring in the other side of our brain where we're able to make a different choice, and that comes from awareness. If there's no awareness there, we can't make a different choice. Tip number 2 is to be able to name the feeling. Is it really that you're stressed or you're bored? Or is it actually that you feel lonely in those moments? Are you feeling overwhelmed? So being able to name the emotion takes some of the power away, and it points you more towards actually what is the solution I really need in these moments. And there is a feelings wheel that I can send to you, or you can look up really easily online as well, that gives you names loads of different emotions that we almost forget about. Tip number 3 is to create the comfort menu. So what I talked about with that client, writing down perhaps 3 to 5 non-food things that genuinely feel comforting to you, and they will be different for everybody. So for example, for me, it might be sticking on a podcast, going out for a walk, or it might be journaling about how you feel, or sticking on some music and having a dance in the kitchen, grabbing a cup of tea. But put this list somewhere where it's visible to you, so that when the urge hits to go and grab the chocolate or grab the cheese, you've actually got other options there to remind you that, is this the thing that I really want? What else can I do? And then point number 4 is around upgrading rather than restricting. So if food is the comfort that you want, choose something you really enjoy but feel good about afterwards. So maybe it's portioning out the treat rather than having the entire share bar there in front of you. It's not actually about cutting out all comfort food, because that's not really the answer. It's about enjoying it with intention rather than just on autopilot and that mindless behavior that can quite easily go on with comfort eating. A mini exercise that you can try whilst watching this video is, if you can pause for a moment and think back, when was the last time that you comfort ate? What was going on for you in that moment? Were you tired? Were you stressed? Were you overwhelmed? Perhaps you're feeling unappreciated. Now imagine that a moment again. But instead of food, what's one thing you could have done in that time that might meet the need that you're really looking for? Maybe that's a chat with a friend, maybe it's stepping outside for some fresh air, maybe it's running a really nice bath and a bit of pampering time, grabbing a face mask. This isn't about beating yourself up for what's happened in the past. It's actually about seeing comfort eating as a signal that you need something, and food is the easiest thing that your brain will often reach for. But what you actually might need, and what you can then what the awareness that then comes from realizing what you actually need allows you to then respond differently next time. The key thing to remember is that comfort eating, it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean you lack willpower or discipline. It's totally human. Everybody does it. But if it's happening every evening, every afternoon, it's your body waving a flag saying, actually, I need some support here. And once you treat this as feedback instead of failure, it becomes so much easier to build new habits, and habits that really support your health. It supports your energy, supports your confidence long term, gives you that feeling of being more in control of your choices. This week, I want you to think about noticing just one moment of comfort eating, pause, ask yourself what you really need, see if you can respond differently next time, even if it's just once. That's how change starts. That's how you start to build confidence that actually you're not just a slave to those emotions and those habits that you've always had. You can rewrite your story. If this is helpful, let me know. And also let me know how you've got on with it.